Well, I'll give you more information than you require, probably. I was conceived in North Carolina and born in Tennessee, so I'm bilingual. My family's from the mountains of western North Carolina. We've been there a long time. We go all the way back to the North Carolina-thalls. You know, we get to travel all over America and see such beautiful places and meet such wonderful people. And when I go to other parts of the country and tell them about North Carolina, I tell them my daddy's from Mitchell County, and you know, not everybody knows where Mitchell County, North Carolina is. And then I say, well, perhaps you've heard of Mount Mitchell, tallest mountain east of the Rockies. And of course people go, yeah, we know about that. And I said, well, that ain't in Mitchell County. But you can see Mitchell County from there, so you're pretty close. And then I tell them my mama's from Buncombe County, and everybody knows where Buncombe County is. They don't realize it until I tell them that's where Asheville is. And my mother is from the western end of Buncombe County in a place called the Milk Sick Cove. The Milk Sick Cove. I asked my mama one time, I said, Mom, why in the world do you think anybody would have named a place the Milk Sick Cove? And Mama studied on that a minute. She said, well, honey, I don't know. Maybe there were a lot of lactose intolerant people. My mother was one of 7 children, and they were all boys except for 6. You'll understand math, that's good. Now, there's 15 of us first cousins on my mama's side, and we were close. We were a tight-knit family. And once, you know, we became adults, the 15 of us, you know, started becoming adults, we realized what a treasure we had in all those aunts and uncles. We were all storytellers, and we all got along great. So as we started noticing that first generation starting to pass on, you know, we thought we need to honor those people. And besides, we all like cake. So we just started having a birthday. Every time we'd have a big birthday party, every aunt or uncle that had a birthday, we'd get together if we could and have a big birthday party. Well, a couple of years ago, we were down to 2 left. And so we had my mother's older sister. My mother was the baby of the family. My mother's older sister was left, and that's Elvita, my Aunt Elvita. Elvita lives in a really high-end nursing home in Greer, South Carolina. She invested well. Matter of fact, anytime we're going down 85, we stop and have lunch with her because they feed good down there, you know. Anyway, so we had her, and then we had my Uncle Roy, the only boy, his widow, my Aunt Eloise. Now, Roy and Eloise were mountain people, like we all were, of course. But Roy didn't see any reason to go anywhere else. He lived in the most beautiful place in the world, or so we thought. And he thought, well, why do I want to go anywhere else? It's all downhill from here. You know, mountain people are that way. Everything's downhill from there. You know. Anyway, they never really went anywhere. But Eloise loved to read, and she loved to read about exotic places, and you know, and. She had the World Book, and she would, you know, look at, you know, Afghanistan and all that kind of stuff. And but she, you know, she never thought, well, I'll never get to go to any of those places. Well, my uncle died when they were in their mid-50s. He was 56 when Uncle Roy passed on. And Aunt Eloise is a member of the Liberty Hill Baptist Church, and this new fellow became a member of their congregation. And she got up her nerve one time and asked him if he liked, you know, cake, and he said, well, yeah, I like cake. And she said, well, what kind of cake do you like? So she made him a cake, and that started it. And then every Sunday, they'd go to J&S Cafeteria and have lunch, you know, and then they fell in pretty good. And so they got married, and the first thing they did was bought a Winnebago. And they went to traveling. And my Aunt Eloise, before it was over, had visited all 50 states, had been in 15 foreign countries and had spent more time in the Holy Land than Moses. Well, we were down to them too, and now Charles passed away when they were in their mid-80s. She was about, I think, 84 when Charles passed on, and she said, I've been everywhere I ever dreamed of going, and I don't want to go anywhere else. And by that she meant she didn't want to go to the grocery store. The way she put it was, I don't want to leave my property. I don't want to leave my property. So the only time we could get her to leave her property, we would tie her, tie her up and put her in the car and haul her down the Greer on the 21st of June every year to go to Elvita's birthday party. And of course she loved Elvita and she loved to get together with everybody, but boy, she hated to leave her property. So I had an epiphany. I said, why don't, Elvita loves to travel, why don't we just bring Elvita up to Eloise's house and we'll just have her birthday party there and Eloise won't have to leave her property, So the first year was 2.5 years ago now, we decided to do that. Well, my wife Joan was off visiting her sister in New England, so it was up to me to, go and take the presents and stuff. So I thought, well, I'll go up early because we got to park cars in the woods. She lives in the woods. She's got a wooded lot, So I thought, well, we got to park cars, and I'll go up there and help park cars. Well, I got there and nobody was there yet. Now, she lived in the same house since 1958. So I walked in the back door, and there's her two daughters, my cousin Jane and Joanne. And Joanne lives right there next to her mama, so keeps an eye on her. And they were in there, and they were up to their elbows in flour. They were making cakes and pies and cutting melon balls and all that, just going at it hard. So I stuck my head in the door, and I said what any self-respecting man would say in that situation. I said, anything I can say to help? And Joanne said, yeah, go in there and talk to Mama. So I did. I went in there, and she's sitting in her little chair. Now, she's never been bigger around than that, just a little old skinny thing. She said, yeah, when I was a kid at school, they'd pick on me. She, Eloise, it's fixing to rain, run under the clothesline. Well, she had shrunk down. She's like 97 by this time. She's about the size of Yoda. You want to put her on your lap and put your hand in her back and make, Anyway, so I went in there. She's sitting in her little chair like that, and I walked in and snuck around behind her and gave her some jaw sugar, and she looked up. She said, oh, well, I'm so glad to see you. Who are you? And I said, Eddie, it's Michael. She said, well, what are you doing here? I said, we're having a birthday party for somebody here. She said, oh my God, am I 98? I said, no, honey, we're having Elvita's birthday party here at your house. She said, this isn't my house. I said, this isn't your house. She said, no, I live over there. And I thought, well, for 97, she wasn't but one house off. So I squatted down, got eye to eye with her, and I said, you look good. She said, I do? I said, you look marvelous. I said, you've been exercising, hadn't you? She said, yeah, my doctor told me to, and I exercise every day. I said, that's good. I said, what do you like to do? She said, I like to walk. I said, well, good, that's what I do. I said, have you walked yet today? She said, I don't know. I said, well, do you feel like walking? She said, I do. I do. I said, well, come on, let's go for a walk. She said, I'm not going to leave my property. I said, you got 4 acres we can ramble around on. That's no problem. Come on. I got her up and got her out on the front porch. No walking stick. She's doing great. Got her down on the sidewalk. I said, all right, here we are. Where do you want to go? She said, well, I normally go to the mailbox. Now, the mailbox is about as far as from here to the street, I said, come on, we'll go to the mailbox. And I got her by the arm, and we took off to the mailbox. And about a half hour later, we got down to the mailbox. I said, all right, here we are at the mailbox. I said, what do you want to do now? She said, look in the paper box and see if the Asheville Citizen Times has come yet. And I looked in the box. I said, honey, there ain't no paper in here. She said, I guess I've read it. I said, well, what do you want to do now? She said, let's go back to the house and read the paper again. It'll be news to me all over. drinks sweet tea and red wine, still uses her clothesline, likes poetry that rhymes and old radios. She got chip paint and old pipes and a burned out front porch light and a tin roof that just might fall in when it snows. She quit cigarettes but still plays her cassettes, and now and then forgets her blood pressure pill. She keeps the shells from cicadas and bakes sweet potatoes. Got 2 green tomatoes on her windowsill. She gets up with the sun to make breakfast for one. Well, there's an old car on flat tires and chickweeds and sawbriars where once tall sunflowers bloomed in the sun. She grew sweet corn and long rows, loved hanging her old clothes on scarecrows, but God knows that those days are done. Stockings and hairpins and memories of young men she flirted with back when, 80 years gone. They were fiddle-tune dancers, slick-back romancers, awaiting the answer to who'd take her home. She still hears the band in her head, sitting there on the side of her bed. Bread dough and dishpans and work-hardened old hands. She misses the old man on cold winter nights. Now she sits there in her chair and brushes her long hair and whispers her night prayer and turns out the light.